designed for a purpose, right? Our rubrics that we're using for the AP Lang exam right now are designed to get us through the reading and to give teachers actionable feedback on the specific skills represented by the 3 rows of the rubric. So they are a formative tool for teachers, and in our classroom we really have to decide, are we actually trying to gather data at that level? Are we trying to get some macro data on our small student set based off?
I'm fundamentally allergic to the notion of rubrics. And, I understand, I fear that kids see rubrics as sort of like glasses to be filled, right? And then they have a full glass and they think they should get an A, something like that. I think the new rubric that we have has forced us to shift our thinking a little bit. I like argumentative writing rather than only literary analysis, which seems to dominate the high school classroom. So I think the idea of making claims and having theses is really positive. Evidence and commentary, that's a good topic to discuss with the kids. I think the rubric that we use is useful, and I think it could be more robust. That's probably another topic. I stumble on sophistication in the English language and composition rubric. Too few kids are rewarded, I think, for their best thinking by the way our current sophistication point is outlined. So I'm troubled by rubrics in general. I find the new rubric for English language composition helpful, but ultimately that can't be how you teach kids to write through a rubric.
One of the things I like to do with my students is give them copies of the rubric after they've written essays, and have them actually use the rubric in conversation with each other in peer review, so that they learn how to internalize the language of the rubric. The scoring itself, the points, that doesn't concern me at all. I don't really want them worrying about that in my classroom. But you can use the language of the rubric, and if our students are actually using that language to give each other feedback, and they start to learn really how to think rhetorically. I mean, the only real skill a good writer needs is the ability to make choices to meet the particular occasion, right? So for the exam, of course, the occasion is readers scoring using the rubric. So helping my students learn how to think using that rubric and talk to each other using the language of the rubric is a really helpful practice as far as exam prep goes. Good writing is always code switching. For the exam, you want to write essays that meet the objectives of the rubric. Different occasions are going to call for different rhetorical decisions. So the more you can give your students ownership, I think, of the rubric language and let them start using it with each other, the more they're going to learn how to think like the people who design these assessments.
In my classroom, the rubric is an assessment tool, not an instructional tool. So when I devise my own instruction, I know what the rubric says is the end goal, but I don't want kids trying to scrounge for points. I want them to actually do a lot of thinking. So I oftentimes don't even show my students the rubric until after I make them produce the piece where I've taught for what I want the end goal to be.
The rubric is based on what every effective writer, especially effective analytical writer and argument writer, will need in order to form their prose in any circumstance, not just for the exam. And so it allows every person, every student, access to criteria, what you can call quantitative or solid criteria and standards, I would say standards, in order to measure their own writing against, so that they can become the effective writers that they're trying to be. It allows them to reach their goals.